Hi everybody, welcome to another Taubmans live colour advice session. My name is Fiona. I am a Taubmans colour specialist and we are here this evening to talk all things colour. So welcome to a very fun-filled event, I'd like to say. I've got lots of questions here. As tonight is all about frequently asked questions, we have a look at what's happening, I guess you could say, or coming through to us via all of our social media channels. So there's lots of commonalities, so we're going to explore quite a few things this evening. But before we begin, for those that are joining us for the very first time, welcome. And I would just like to let you know how we run our sessions. So for the next half an hour, I'm going to be on screen, if you like, streaming live to answer all of your questions. So it is a fantastic time to pop any questions that you have into our feed, and I'll certainly do my best to answer them for you. If you do have any images that you would like some suggestions on colour, etc. with, please hold off until we finish streaming, because I do believe that you are unable to upload any images. So, and then after that, we'll be sitting behind the computer for a further half an hour or so to answer any further questions that we do have. So it's a really good opportunity for everybody out there. If you do have any questions on colour, please pop some into the feed. And if you're embarking on any projects and you would like some suggestions or assistance, or you would like to know about our wonderful portfolio of products that we have available to protect and beautify your space, ask away, because that's what we're here for. We're here to offer you some guidance, some help you with all of your colour conundrums, if you like, and to instill some confidence, get you feeling confident with colour, because colour's a fantastic tool to create some amazing spaces. So before we get right into the session, last week we talked about greens, and green is certainly very much on trend, and there's some beautiful, beautiful shades of green available out there. And we also showed you how you can create your own colours using Colorsmith. So behind me, I have all of the colour swatches that I ordered from all of the QR codes that we created last week. So I'm just going to slide my chair across here and I'm going to show you, because last week we used a throw rug to create a colour and then create a colour palette from. So you can see the beautiful green there, and then it's a couple of colours there, a beautiful dusty sort of pink and then a deeper pink, if you like. Muted and dusty again, but they were created by creating the green first of all, and then using the combinations function and extracting those beautiful tones. We also had a fantastic cushion, and from that we created a beautiful, beautiful tone here. I love this. I think this colour palette is just stunning. And then if you can see there, we have created the green, and then what I've actually done is I have lessened the intensity, so created this tone here, and then again lessened it even more to create that beautiful tone, and then leveraged combinations and extracted a beautiful sort of baked clay tone. I think it is a stunning colour palette. So I just wanted to show you what we did with the colours that we created last week. I thought it's a really good opportunity. So this week's been fantastic. I have been out and about, and I've been talking to many, many people, and I've been liaising with interior designers, interior design students, and we've talked a lot about Colorsmith. So I'm going to show you sort of at the end of this session, if you like, just how you can use it. Well, not so much how you can use it. I've created a couple of little stories to talk you through, and then I will pop the link for Colorsmith into the feed, because if you are wanting to, you're about, we're what, a week away from Easter, and Easter's a great time, and we know that a lot of people do a lot of paint projects over that time. And so if you are unsure about colour, it's a really good opportunity to have a look at Colorsmith and start creating your own colour, because we can talk about all the trends as we do, and we like to educate you around what's on trend, but for me, colour is extremely personal, and I think, and I say this all the time, colour has that ability to evoke an emotion, and every colour out there generally means something to somebody because it is so personal. So, and Colorsmith really taps into that. So I'll be very happy to talk a little bit more about that afterwards. So as I said, Easter is fast approaching, and we do have our easy coat promotion at the moment where you can paint your room for $150 or less with easy coat. And as they say, it's easy as with easy coat. Now, all of our terms and conditions and more information are located on our website. So before I begin, I'm quickly going to, let's just hope it all goes to plan here. I'm going to share my laptop. I'm going to pop myself in the corner. Oh, fantastic. So if you come to www.taubmans.com.au, which is a fantastic place to visit, especially if you're embarking on a project. We do have a lot of very useful information housed within this website, along with some fantastic colours, and all of our colours are grouped by colour family, making your journey very, very easy. But as you can see, the landing page, easy as with easy coat. You can learn more about our promotion. And if we scroll down, there's all the information here. There's our portfolio of easy coat products there. And paint our room for less than $150. There's the products that are included. And if you keep scrolling down, there are all of the terms and conditions. So I would certainly suggest that you have a look at that. And I'll certainly pop a link into the feed before we conclude tonight's event. So I will come back onto the screen. Okay, wonderful. So lots and lots of questions, and I know we touch a lot on this every week. So I have been asked this week, looking through our feeds, and then obviously talking about questions that have come in from last week's session as well. We have been asked a lot about whites, greys and blacks. So, and in particular, I've brought to life, I guess I've taken out a few questions, but I've also put together some visuals to help you when you are on your colour journey, just to explain a few things, because I like to learn visually. So I'm going to make it very, very easy for everybody. And then if you are, as I said, embarking on that colour journey, you can rewatch these sessions on our Facebook page and gather some more information. So a question is, I have a house that has red brick and weatherboards. So we want to paint the weatherboards a grey, but need help with what grey to use, please. So, okay, so that's a really good question, because I'm going to share my iPad. And I'm going to pop myself up in the corner. And there you go. There is the image from last week, just quickly, where we created some beautiful colours using a throw rug and a cushion. And then behind me, as you can see, are the fantastic colours. So check that out. I think it looks fantastic. Anyway, we've already touched on that, so I'll continue. So the question, again, I have a house that has red brick and weatherboards. We want to paint the weatherboards a grey, but need help with what grey to use, please. No wonder, when you look at that, which I've put on the screen, there are quite a few different shades of grey, if you like. And grey is a tricky one to decipher, because it's not just a flat grey. We have many variations of grey, and it's understanding how the grey is going to work within your environment and selecting the right undertone so that we know it's going to work with everything else, I guess, other colours, etc., that are going to feature in your design. And this time we're talking about a red brick. So no secret, when you look at a colour wheel and you work at colours that are opposite on the colour wheel, we know that they have been designed to work really well together. So for example, if you have a red brick, the opposite to red is green. So using a grey that has a green undertone, we know is going to work. But how do we know? So I'm going to take you to another image. I have just put one of each grey from each category. So the way I like to describe greys are, we have a brown grey, a green grey, a red or purple grey, and a blue grey. Okay, so this gives you a visual here. So you've got your brown or your greyish, you've got your green, or what I like to refer to as a neutral. You've got your red, purple, or your blue. So given that we are working with a red style brick, I would suggest going for, as I just explained, having the opposite on the colour wheel, I would suggest looking at a green based grey, or that green undertone. So the second one across has that beautiful green undertone. So something like Lunar Rock's going to work extremely well. You can certainly intensify that more and we can go darker. But as I said, green also being known as neutral. So if you are embarking on a grey journey, if you like, and you're not sure where to start, have a look at what else is going to feature within your colour scheme. And then you can start to build, or colour palette, sorry, and then you can start to build your colour scheme around that. So I would definitely suggest having a green-based brick for the red, a green-based grey for the red brick. And I would also suggest, as I've just said, if you're embarking on that journey looking for a grey, starting within a green-based grey, because it's very, very easy to work other colours with. And it's very adaptable, and it's going to, because of the neutral style, it's going to fit really well with many, many colours. So you kind of can't go wrong. Okay, so that sort of talks about greys. So I'll come back onto the camera, or onto the screen. And it looks like we have our first question. Hi Andrew, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And your question is, we are looking at a new build with a farmhouse style. We're thinking of white towards grey wall colours with bright white skirts and architraves. Is there another colour option you would suggest? That sounds beautiful. You could certainly, a white toward grey wall colour. Okay, I think what you're heading towards is going to work extremely well. You could certainly introduce, being a farmhouse style, you could certainly introduce green. I think green could work really, really well. So for a white with grey, I'm just having a look at a few colours here so I can give you some suggestions to have a look at. So there's a beautiful colour called Taubmans White House that I think would marry beautifully with even just brilliant white trims, and it's going to show the, when you put a grey on a wall and then you do a white trim, that white trim almost creates a beautiful border and then allows the undertone or the intensity of that grey to pop. So I think that's something that you could use. You could certainly also look at a colour called South Pole. That's sort of going into more of a neutral style white, if you like. A little bit more, I suppose it has that slight sort of greeny undertone, and that's going to work really, really well. I guess if you're looking down that white, that would be a white that I would suggest. White House, South Pole, and I can even pop them up onto the screen. I can show you the colours, and I'm certainly happy to pop them into the feed as well. Let's have a look. It's always a bit dodgy when I do this sometimes, trying to get it all to work. Let's just leave that. So the two, I don't know whether you can, oh yeah, you can see that. So the one sitting at the front here is South Pole, and then the one at the back is White House. They're beautiful whites with a little bit of a complexity that's going to sit really, really well. So that's something that I would look at, and I'd team it with just brilliant white, which is just a beautiful clean white trims. I think you would have a fantastic colour palette there. But if you'd like some more information, please pop something else into the feed and I'd be very happy to offer some further suggestions. Thanks. Okay, so talking about whites, okay, we're going to go through the black first. So what do we have here? I'm painting a theatre room black. I have a deep teal lounge and would like to match the black. Is there such a thing, and what black would you recommend? So it really is true what they say, black just isn't black. There are varying undertones within our blacks. So I'm going to again share my iPad and pop myself up into the corner. And we're going to explore which black. So I have just taken 4 of our blacks and pop them all together there so you can sort of see the varying undertones. So black just isn't black, if you like. Like when you start looking at a Fantic and you start looking at all the variances, you can start to see the undertones. Now, when I look at whites and even greys, I usually put them up against a white backdrop, and then you can really see that undertone come to life. When we look at blacks, I actually like to put them next to each other like I have here, and you can really see the undertone come to life. So for example, we've got black haze, which has that purpley undertone. We have black pearl, which has a blue undertone. And we also have black forest there, which tends to have more of a green undertone. So given that you have a deep teal coloured lounge, I'm just reading here what I have, I would recommend using something like, you could use either the black pearl, which has that bluey undertone, or even the black forest that has that green undertone. But like anything, and I talk about this all of the time, and I do sound like a broken record, if you are looking at colours for whether it be your interior, exterior, whatever it may be, I always suggest trialling via a sample pot, because the main reason is when you get a colour within, when you put a particular colour within your own space, it can change, and there are many things that are going to add to the colour looking different, if you like. So it depends on what lighting you have, it depends on what flooring you have, it depends on things like what window furnishings you have, even the furniture that's going to sit within the space as well. So there's a lot of different things to take into consideration, hence the need to trial the colour. Now the way to do that is to get yourself a large piece of cardboard. I would recommend just going down to your local hardware store. For example, our paint that comes in, let's just say Bunnings for example, the paint comes in on large pallets, and in between the layers of paint we have what's called pallet liners. So they're large pieces of cardboard. So you could go and sort of see whether you can source one of those. But what you're looking for is to have a piece of cardboard at least 1 metre by 1 metre square. Then I would brush out 3 coats of paint onto that piece of cardboard, and once dry, move it around the room in 2 particular areas. So you're going to, here's your wall, here's your floor, you're going to put your sample against here, and then you're going to see if the colour is going to be affected or influenced by your flooring, as I said, furniture, etc. And then you've got your wall here, you've got your ceiling here, trialing your colour here, and then you can see how it's going to look under natural light, under artificial light. It just gives you a really good indication how the colour will perform within your environment. And that way you're not going to have any surprises, you're not going to be disappointed. Yeah, that's the best piece of advice that I would give anybody who is about to embark on a colour journey. Okay, so the next question, I better come back to the screen. Let's have a look here. Okay, the next question I have is, I have a bench top that is a cooler white, but I don't want to use a cool white for my walls. What type of neutral white, or what type of white would you recommend? Okay, really good question. And that leads us into our next point, if you like, talking about the variances within white. So I do have, yet again, another visual for you all. So I will just share my screen. I'm up in the corner. Okay, which white? Now we all know, and this is probably the most frequently asked question, whether we are talking about from this platform, our social media platforms, or when I'm out and about in store and when I'm visiting everybody, the question is always around what type of white, what would you recommend, talking about whites for interiors, whites for exteriors. But tonight we're going to refer to the question. So if you do have a cooler white bench top and you're not wanting to put a cooler white onto your walls, I would recommend looking for something that's called a neutral style white. So on screen here, I have 3 varying whites, if you like. So we have a cool white, we also have a neutral style white, and then a warm white. So it's a little bit like when we referred to greys before, and we talked about having a neutral style grey. So, we've got a neutral style white, if you like. And that again is a white that's going to work and adapt within many interior environments. So, not wanting to colour up the walls in a cool white and create that, that cooler space, if you like, but wanting to create something that's very easy to live in, hence a neutral style white. That would be the way that I would go. So very easy. Now, when you look at your whites, and I talked about this before, the best way to view your whites is against what we call, so if you're in a hardware store and you're at the colour wall, have a look for a colour chip called Brilliant White. So it's stock standard white in the can, if you like, on a colour chip. So when you start trying to decipher the whites and you put it up against a standard white, you can see the undertone coming to life. So if you don't have that, go to your hardware store prepared. And by that I mean taking a piece of white paper, like a really clean, bright white, just a piece of computer paper is going to work a treat. Having that with you, taking that in store and then putting your white colour chips up against that, then you can see that undertone come to life. Now the other thing, if you're looking for a white for interior, view the white inside. If you're looking for a white for exterior, view the white outside. It is the best way because that way you're going to see how the colour is going to work within the environment again. Okay, so there's a few little tips there. Now the other thing I want to touch on, so we've had, I'll come back on screen, we have had quite a few questions around Colorsmith, and I know I started off the session showing the colours that we created last week on the wall behind me and showing how we created a fantastic match from a cushion and also from a throw rug. But I want to talk, I've been asked, and as you know, I started off the session talking about how we've been, I've been out and about talking to everybody about Colorsmith. And so I wanted to just bring to life and bring to the table, if you like, the two options that you have to create colour. Now we showed last week how you can create colour with the Colorsmith reader. And then the other option is you can use the photo function. So I know that a lot of my viewers and a lot of consumers that I talk to in store view things such as Pinterest. They look at magazines for inspiration and they'll see a colour in a magazine that doesn't have a name. It's just a colour that they love and they want that colour. So the best way or the best option or solution that I can help you with is if you were to use the photo function option of Colorsmith, take a photo of the colour, and then you can follow the prompts and go through that and create your own colour. The other way as well, for me, I love to match and create a match, especially when you're specifying colour, or in particular, you may have a tile that has a beautiful white undertone and you want to match that undertone, or you've got, you might be going into Bunnings and you are buying an off-the-shelf kitchen and you want to match the colour of your joinery onto your walls. So you can do that with Colorsmith and you can use the reader to do that. And as I just said, you can use the photo function to bring to life other things. So for me, I'm just quickly going to show you an image that I have created, if you like. Oh, and I've got some questions here. Fantastic. All right, very quickly, where are we? Onto the iPad. Pop myself in the corner. So here we have just a couple of examples of creating your own colour with Colorsmith. So the creating your own colour with those beautiful greens. So the inspiration from that was a tile, scanned the tile, created a perfect match, and then used the function of Colorsmith to create a monochromatic colour scheme. Now what I mean by that is having I suppose you could say a variance of one colour. So you've got a dark, a medium and a lighter version. So one colour but variances, as you can see in that image there. And then on the other side where I've created a fantastic colour called Flamingo Pink, what I have done is I have taken an image and then used the photo function to create a colour that way. So that's just giving you an idea how you can use Colorsmith and then what to expect from Colorsmith, whether you're going to use a reader to create a perfect match of something and then create your colour, or whether you're going to use the photo function option to bring to life a colour that exists from an image or an image in a magazine or something like that. Okay, so I better just pop myself back here. Fantastic. Okay, I do apologise. The questions have only just come through, so let me see what I have here. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so hi Jen, painter and decorator. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. So great work, love this. Fantastic. Thank you for that feedback. I'm a qualified painter and decorator. I get a lot of clients asking me for colour ideas and designs for interiors, and a lot of the time I have no idea, especially when it is a blank canvas. How would you go about this if you were in my position? As I have just shown with Colorsmith. So you can help your clients. I know from being out and about in the field and helping with colour all of the time and I know the emotion that is associated with colour, because we do know that colour is very emotive, and we know that everybody gravitates to a particular colour because it means something to them. So it may be that you are going into a client and they're asking for colour ideas, but what I would say to you, Jen, is to ask them what they want to feature in the room, because generally when I'm designing a space, I am usually going to have a hero in the room. So one focal point, and from that you begin to design your colour palette and that space around. So it may be that your client has a chair, for example, or they may have a tiled splashback, or they may have a beautiful encaustic tile in their bathroom, or whatever it may be that they're wanting to create colour from. So it's really easy. So you may find that they've got a beautiful tile. You can scan the tile and create a colour palette. You can scan, match, and then from that you can leverage the combinations function. And as I've shown you here, you can extract some beautiful colours and create a fantastic colour palette. So that's one way. And I'd be very happy, Jen, if you wanted to reach out, I'd be extremely happy to take you through Colorsmith and to show you, and even to do a virtual tutorial with you and just take you through it and show you what you can do with it. Okay, so thank you. I hope that helps. Okay. Okay, hi Peter, thank you very much for joining us. Fantastic to have you with us this evening. Okay, I have a post-war with Federation colours in Queensland. The tile roof is dark terracotta. What is the next generation colours? Okay, so if you can come back to me, I can see that your home is weatherboard. Thank you. I guess, what are you wanting to achieve? I mean, obviously with a weatherboard home, you've got dark terracotta tiles. Are you wanting to keep within that Federation but going a little bit more modern? If that were the case, you could certainly pick up even some sort of, I immediately think of a beautiful, perhaps a greige, and then introducing some deeper style greys to go with that, even introducing some earthy style, like there's a beautiful colour here called henna rust that would work extremely well with your dark terracotta, and then a beautiful greige or a beautiful grey that has that green undertone that's still quite reminiscent of your Federation style. So come back to me, let me know a little bit more information. I would be very happy to put together a colour scheme for you. Hi Karen, thank you very much for joining us. We have converted our tile roof to Colorbond shale grey and haven't yet painted our exterior, which is rendered brick. Currently a strange olive khaki and is too warm and green, so can't wait to change that. Love the freshness of white, but I don't want to go too pale a white. I would like a neutral white grey, but some slight warmth to it. Window trims, happy to keep vivid white. Can you suggest some colours, please? Okay, so we're going to work with the shale grey. I think that's what we need to take into consideration. And I certainly can. So I do have shale grey here. Now let me just have a look. So something that is white, but a little bit of warmth to the white. Now immediately I think of, you could use, and when I talk about whites for exteriors, I reference what's called, and I've talked about this plenty of times, what's called an LRV, which is the light reflectance value. And it helps to determine how much light is going to be reflected, because you don't want it, I guess when I'm talking about that, I don't want you to put on a white that's too bright and then you find that when you walk outside you have to have your sunglasses on because it is so glary. So I look at what's called the LRV, the light reflectance value, and I like to work with colours that sit within a range of around about 65 to 75, pushing it to 80. It just depends how much natural sunlight the home is getting, what it's surrounded with, and then we can sort of work from that. Now I know that surf mist looks fantastic with your shale grey, and that has an LRV of around about 67. So, I mean, looking at that straight away, it's fantastic. It still looks white, and it works as a perfect white in conditions that, you know, for me, I'm based in Queensland. We're saturated in sun most of the time, and you want your white to have a little bit of substance so that you are not exposed to a huge amount of glare. So, but there are lots of beautiful whites that we could recommend for you. So there's a fantastic colour here called Grey Fog that sits beautifully with shale grey. It's slightly warmer. It's a white, but it has that grey style undertone. So that's one. I'm just here looking if you're wanting it to be that little bit warmer. What else can I recommend here? Oh, there's another colour here called, yeah, that's very nice as well. What are we sitting at? 62. Barely beige or even platinum. What I'll do is, because we're over time, I'll just see whether you can see. It's really hard to see. And look, when I'm looking, we've got that much lighting going on in here, and depends on what you see with your screen at home. It doesn't always give you a true indication of how the colour looks. But what I'll do is, Karen, I'll pop some suggestions into your feed there, into your question feed, with some links to colours. But what I do suggest, and if you've been watching the session, is to sample pot your white and trial it outside so you can see how that white's going to perform. And don't paint it directly onto your home. Paint it onto a large piece of cardboard. Then it's portable. You can move it around all areas of the exterior and just see how it's going to work. So what I'll do is, as I said, I'll pop some suggestions into the feed. And Peter, thank you very much for coming back to us. Can I send you a pic of the home? You certainly can. As soon as I stop streaming in a moment, in this feed where you're popping questions in, you can upload an image into that, and I'd be very happy to help you. So I'm going to hop off the screen and go behind the screen and answer some questions. But thank you everybody for joining our session tonight. It's been fantastic to have you joining us again this evening. Fantastic. Thank you very much for all of your questions. I will answer the rest of those when I hop off here. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Stay safe. And as I always say, happy painting, everybody. Good evening. Bye.